Hello, I'm back. Coming back to read this again. As you can see, I'm starting to space this out a little more because I don't want to read too much. I feel like if I read every day like I was the first week, as much as I enjoyed it then, I'm going to burn myself out and then I'm just going to stop. And I really do want to finish all these books in the series because, like, I want it to be done. I want it to be completed, and I want people to be able to listen to it in their own time, much like how I would have if it existed. You know, I mean, technically they're the computer ones, but I despise those, and that's why I'm making this. So, without that out of the way, I guess I should just get on with it. So, at this point, I'm at No Game, No Life, Volume 5, Chapter 1, Part 1. Ah, the Kingdom of Elkia, the capital, Elkia. The last bastion of humanity, the lowest ranking of the Xseeds. Elkia was a country that, until a few months ago, had been on the brink of destruction, backed into the confines of its sole remaining city. Now it had expanded its territory with unprecedented speed, swallowing up the great maritime nation of the Eastern Union. In the capital of this nation, where reformation from kingdom to commonwealth proceeds at feverish pitch, a shriek rang out. For an instant, the harried castle staff froze as if time itself had stopped. But even that was fleeting, as the machine quickly ratcheted back into operation as if nothing had happened. Yes, it was business, as usual. Everyone was familiar with it by now. She must have been screaming again, and most likely with exceedingly valid cause. As an unspoken sense of sympathy swept the castle, everyone went back to work. Ah, this is idiocy. Is it this not idiocy? This is idiocy, is it not? The redhead once again put her masterful phraseology on display. Stephanie Dola, aka Steph, head of the House of Dola, ranked a duchess and granddaughter of the previous king. A princess in the truest sense of the word. This young lady, once so full of grace, now unequivocally devoid of it. Perched in a chair, she tore her hair, looked towards the sky, and wailed. Whose dumbs, please? Cross-legged on the floor beside Steph, reading a book, sat the werebeast, Izuna Hatsuse. Estimated age, 1 digit. A young girl clothed in traditional Japanese style with large ears, like those of a fennec fox and a tail. The book in her hands was upside down, but Steph had no time to point that out. Thorish is Shiro is... No, I am. Why, yes, sir. You needn't worry. What was that? I was imbecilic. I am imbecilic. Flinging her arms wide, she ranted. Go to your grandfather's library and find the true reason the Siren's Queen sleeps? Why, yes, sir. Who but an imbecile will say that? Just how many books did I think there were? To begin with, she surveyed the shelves filling the walls. Her data tribe skipped a beat. Find a book that may or may not even exist? Just what did I think I was agreeing to? The two young women were in a hidden room left by the previous king, his secret study. The former ruler had always played the fool to reveal the truth behind the games of other countries, other races with magical and supermagical powers, and the strategies that would allow a mere human to overcome them. The records on which he had staked his life, the legacy of a great man, were arranged along those walls. His feats were chronicled in tomes easily exceeding 1,000 volumes, which filled the study. Though the books were arranged in chronological order, without any clue as to when the old king had interacted with the sirens, the girl's only choice was to power through all the books by brute force. Belated recognition of this fact had prompted Steph's scream, mere moments earlier. But more than that, almost crying, she thrust a finger to Zuna, the little werebeast girl holding her book upended. Just how did Sora think you could help? You can't even read Humanity. Stutch, pipe down, please. The hell you think I'm working on right now, please? Excuse me? But wait, can we back up? What did you just call me? Goddamn, Gramps said. Steph is a duchess, please. Why do you have to abbreviate it further? It sounds horribly belittling. How the hell is that, please, Dutch? Izuna cocked her head and peered at Steph. Could you please not insult me with such round eyes? How will you make it up to me if my sleep deprivation curses me by opening up another secret door? Steph writhed, banging her head on the corner of a desk, but Izuna replied calmly. Stutch, shut it and work, please. Gramps is waiting, please. Gah. Yes, I suppose so. Grieving will accomplish nothing. Indeed, Siren had taken a hostage. Izuna's grandfather, Ino Hatsutse. Izuna must have been tired, too. There was no time for Steph to waste, wailing while Izuna struggled to learn an unfamiliar writing system. Yes, take a deep breath. Regaining her composure, Steph finally broke the news. By the way, Miss Izuna, your book is upside down. I know that, please. You think I do that by mistake, please? Izuna scrambled to write her book, as Steph said about lecturing her. And perhaps you've got this already, but a manatee's tongue, unlike werebeasts, is written horizontally. Their language is written horizontally, please? Izuna's the hell face considered of a wide-eyed gape. Miss Izuna, come to think of it, I have yet to hear. How old are you? At this, Izuna started counting on her fingers, before uneasily asking, Do I count from 0, please? Steph grasped it. Indeed, it was no wonder that Izuna was fond of Sora and Shiro. They were of entirely the same breed, genius gamers, oblivious to all else. With a sigh, Steph pointed to another book. Miss Izuna, I suggest you begin there. The hell's this, please? That is the textbook I used in school to learn the werebeast tongue. It is a bilingual game. Understood, please. As soon as she heard the word game, Izuna seized the book and started flipping through its pages. Steph had to credit her effort. It was clear she was doing her best. But what could she read at that speed? Steph sighed at the ceiling. In any case, I suppose there's no option but to go through all the books. Just as Steph arrived at this tragic conclusion, a sound, and the words that followed, sent her resolution up in smoke. Stutch, I'm goddamn hungry, please. Feed me, please. As if a switch had been flipped, Izuna thumped her book closed. She had plenty of drive and motivation, and of course she would make the effort to save her grandfather. But leaving that aside, Izuna's voluminous eyes demanded, without a hint of malice.
Feed me. The young girl scratched her large animal ears with her foot. Her big tail swung to and fro. The adorable sight pressed Steph to make a decision. 1. Forget it all and just faint already. 2. Prepare a meal for this unbearably lovable beast. At the end of her reflection, her need for sleep bowed to the power of cute. All right. When you're hungry, you're hungry. I'll whip something up with what I've got on hand. I want fish, but I'll stick it up and let you off the hook, please. The Steph slumped off as if dragging her feet behind her. By the way, do you remember that they were still in Elkia Castle? Steph was spectacularly forgetting that she had the option of just fainting already and leaving it to the cooks to prepare a meal for Izuna. But as Steph shambled on like a ghost with Izuna in tow, wagging her big tail, no one was there to remind them. Meanwhile, 20,000 meters above sea level, beset by winds one encounters at an altitude triple that of the Himalayas, Sora wondered how to describe the sight stretching out before him. First, try imagining a Rubik's Cube. Take that intellectual puzzle and hand it to someone who severely limited intellect. Me. Soon, dismantled with pliers, countless pieces of what had once been a Rubik's Cube would be scattered across the floor. Now please suppress the urge to comment and repeat this process about 1,000 times more. How about it? Can you imagine it? The landscape that would emerge from this experience was basically what Sora saw. Welcome to my homeland, constructed on the back of a phantasma, the city of the heavens, Aventheim. There towered the mountain of dismembered Rubik's Cubes. Sora rolled his eyes and muttered as Jabril, smiling happily, pronounced this a city. Hey, cities we know, if I remember correctly, at least have roads. A vista woven of countless giant Rubik's Cubes stacked haphazardly on one atop another. Viewed by an avant-garde artist, perhaps some sublime theme would emerge. Unfortunately, Sora, a virginal 18-year-old layman, if asked to describe it, could only come up with one word, namely, chaos. Okay, Jabril, for now we have just one thing to suggest to the Flugel. Structures should be accessible. Parting ways with Steph and Azuna, Sora and the rest had set off to ascertain the true conditions to wake the Siren's Queen. To study records of the past games, they turned to the world's greatest storehouse of knowledge, the city of Flugel, Adventheim. Oh, Master, please stay close to me. The air is a bit thin here. Sora and Shiro nodded at Jabril's warning. Sora had no idea how they could have moved anyways. Well, I guess if it's just Flugel living here, they don't need any infrastructure. The city splayed below them had no roads, doors, or windows. It made sense that species that could move practically without limit would have no need of such things, but an urban landscape comprised of endless cubes defined perspective. Without a point of reference, everything lacked scale. Not like a city, more like a puzzle. Shiro, having made this blunt assessment, looked up and whispered, "The sky is blue?" At 20,000 meters, they shouldn't have already been at space door. The sky shouldn't have been blue. Adventheim is a member of Xyz rank 2, Phantasma, higher than rank 3, Elemental, the spirits that feed the corridors from which this world is woven. It is a living being independent of ordinary ecosystems. Put simply, you may think of Adventheim as a discrete world. Though it seems the atmospheric pressure is insufficient for you, my masters, Jabril went on to explain. I see not. Sora and Shiro nodded together, their expressions blank. It's kind of refreshing in a way how resolute both Flugel and Phantasma are about defying comprehension. Sora tossed off a sarcastic jab, shifting his line of sight to the distance. At the foot of an unusually tall tree, it was, wasn't it? Something that looked for all the world like a dragon skull, enshrined in neat ribbon decoration. Jabril, I do not get the design concept of this city at all. What? How distressing, that the land destined to enthrone my masters should fail to suit their tastes. Sora cradled his head and groaned at this response from Jabril, who looked slightly dejected. By the way, you think it's about time we save this twerp? Sora pointed to, the sun! The sun! I'm melting! I'm smoking! I'm frying! I'm melting! Plum, who had her cape pulled up over her and was curled in a small, wildly shrieking ball. Oh, how regrettable. I forgot about you entirely. Are you still alive? I'll be dead in a few seconds! I feel my power draining! Plum was a Dampier, to whom sunlight was lethal. Apparently, she'd somehow been able to manage using magic, but it seemed magic was now being consumed at an unexpectedly high clip. So yeah, Jabril, we don't want to keep Azuna waiting forever, so take us quick to wherever's got the most info. And considering Plum, it would be ideal if it was indoors. Your wish is my command. Please place your hands on me once more. And also, with a somehow meek, complicated expression, she clasped Sora and Shiro's hands. Masters, I'm well aware it is not my place to do so, but may I ask of you just 2 things? What's all this? You gotta be all humble like that? Please, do not despair of me, and please have faith in me. That was pretty cryptic, but Jabril left it at that and continued. You there? Yes? In response, Plum, now known as the you there, peeped out from under her cape with bloodshot eyes. I would not mind you leaving you behind, but would you please hurry and take hold of me? Oh, yes, I'm coming. Don't leave without me. Plum scrambled up, and the instant she touched Jabril, the scenery changed. It was probably the interior of one of the cubes they'd seen from afar. A library, even greater and more majestic than the Elkian Grand National Library, which Jabril had privatized. The ceiling was high, and the structure suggested a well hole formed by excavating the inside of a 10-story building. The interior was like the ruins of an ancient city. Stairs and columns of stone stacked without cracks, intricate passageways and arched bridges with vines clinging to the surfaces. But what appeared to be pillars of stone were in fact bookcases. Various unidentifiable knickknacks also littered the landscape. Stairs and suspension bridges traced unthinkable patterns like illusionary Esker illustrations, all lit by giant skylights that were surely invisible from the outside, as well as countless lanterns that flowed without support. It was fantastic and beautiful, even as it defied human understanding, a library of blasphemy or something. But for now, there was something else on Sora's mind, which he indicated with a jab of his finger. Jabril, I'm guessing this is your doing. It was probably because Jabril had warped them in along with the air they needed. The library, or whatever, raged with gales that sent reams of books spiraling through the cavernous structure. Nevertheless, Jabril watched the havoc she'd wreaked with a prim smile. Trouble yourself not, master. The owner of this place is the one who approved the book-sharing act. Sora recalled why Jabril had snatched up that Elkia Grand National Library. No, fled Avenheim. As he'd watched the books convulsing, the books in Avenheim had accumulated close to overflowing, and to address this, the Book-Sharing Act had been passed in the name of eliminating redundancy. Her books are the Flugel's books. I am a Flugel, therefore her books are my books. With a syllogism tight enough to justify the bowling in Doraemon, she grinned. One aware that I might make such a careless slip, perhaps even intentionally? While passing such a generous law must clearly be endowed with a heart so magnanimous as to overlook this trifle, even if these pages include grimoires and prohibited books that cannot be copied or duplicated, or originals without the like anywhere in the world. Yes, I'm sure. Oh, so if they were her books, she could wreck them. The real issue seemed to be that Jabril really couldn't get past that book-sharing act she'd rebelled against before. Then, yeah, my books I haven't finished reading. Eyes gathered in the direction of this wail, and there, wow, they found a girl even Shiro softly exclaimed at. A girl of literally inhuman beauty. The halo revolving above her head and the wings protruding from her hips made it clear that she was a Flugel, just like Jabril. But her halo spun in a pattern quite a bit more complex than Jabril's. Most notably, from her jade hair produced a single horn. Her form, as she flitted through the air on the motion of wings, seemingly made of light, was incomparably divine. But her visage, as she flew about, scooping up her books, while seemingly on the verge of tears, lacked the inorganic quality they had perceived in Jabril on their first meeting. One might have even called this girl cute. Huff, huff. Panting with an air of affectation, she flitted over to Jabril. Jibs, you're such a meanie. She screwed up her face sullenly, but her expression quickly rebounded in an angelic smile. Or wait, is it as they say? When you like somebody, you tease them. Jibs, welcome back. Tee-hee. Leaping for an embrace, the girl found herself spectacularly sidestepped as Jabril shifted out of the way. Standing beside Sora and Shiro and watching her admirer smash into a mountain of books, Jabril spoke neutrally. Master, let me introduce you. This Flugel is the chair of the Avenheim government, the very one who approved the most loathsome law under the sky, the Book-Sharing Act. She is the potentiary, the final decision-maker. And Jabril heaved a sigh. My elder, Azriel. Such was the introduction of the motionless girl, with her torso buried in a pile of books. How do I put this? You Flugel are interesting. This was rank 6, a race that was once a weapon used to kill gods, sowing death wherever they went, and this was their acting agent penitentiary? Sora and Shiro mumbled, rather forced reactions to this revelation. Perhaps likewise shifting, the girl who had been partially entombed in books made a transition invisible to Sora and Co., and was now hanging on their companion, rubbing her cheek against Jabril's. Jibs, you're so naughty. Here, I was so excited you finally showed up again, and then you treat me like this. Oh, but that's your charm. And I see you've not changed, Outer Azril. You're disgusting as ever. While her cheek was being polished, Jabril delivered her comment through unbent lips. Not one of her usual sardonic jibes, but a direct insult. However, Nah, I'm not your elder. I'm your big sister. How many times do I have to tell you? Yeah, huh? Azrael flew through the air in a figure 8, quickly resuming her lomping of Jabril. Jabril was one thing, but those Flugel, are they really cool with having this chick as their agent plenipotentiary? Are you one to talk? Shiro quipped sarcastically, but no one paid heed. Meanwhile, the Jow-abused Jabril pointedly pushed on. Outer Azril, I have come today with a request that you allow my masters to peruse this. I refuse. I refuse until you call me Big Sister. As if aggravated from the heart, Jabril conceded. If you explain why you continue to caress my cheek and permit my masters to view your materials, I shall consider it. 'Cause you're so cute, Jibs. Explanation done. Permission given. Now say it, Big Sister. As Azrael's arms came in for her embrace, Jabril shifted deftly away. Now, masters, we have permission, so please make yourself at home. This is the collection of the Plenipotentiary. It includes countless books appropriated through abuse of that loathsome law. I surmise that there be no greater assemblage of knowledge. How could you? Jibs, you broke the promise you made with Big Sister? As Azrael's jaw dropped in exaggerated despair, Jabril answered with the finest of smiles. I said I would consider it. I considered it and decided against it. I didn't think you were such a tricky little kid, Jibs. Who's been giving you ideas, I wonder? Stare. Daggers launched through tears, Sora and Co., under the pressure of a gaze seemingly capable of crushing the life from a body. Yo, I'm Sora, and this is my sister Shiro. Nice to meet ya. Hey. Siblings responded disinterestedly, already used to this sort of thing with Jabril. Pointing to Azrael, she let out a curious, Sora moved on. But anyways, Big Sister? You mean Jabril is the little sister of the Flugel, the agent plenipotentiary? Bingo. Quite the contrary. Instantly, and bearing the expressions of real sisters, the two responded both simultaneously, and in diametric opposition. With a sigh, Jabril expounded coolly. Flugel do not procreate. We have neither sisters nor parents. It is simply a matter of precedence of birth. Oh, so that's what you mean by the elder. In other words, she'd been created before Jabril. Elder Azrael, by the way, is the plenipotentiary and not the agent plenipotentiary. What's the difference? She is merely the chair of the Council of 18 Wings, consisting of 9 Flugel, including her. Now that she mentioned it, Sora remembered Jabril had been a member of that council before becoming his and Shiro's property, hadn't she? She has, for what it's worth, the right to make the final decision in such extraordinary circumstances as call for it, as well as certain other privileges. But, to sum up, Jabril shook her head and smirked. She is neither superior nor great, and thus there is no particular need to revere her. You're even harsh to your own guys. You've really got that shtick down. But as if dissatisfied with that assessment, Azrael puffed out her cheeks and rebutted. No! We're here all created by Lord Artosh. Our father is Lord Artosh, and I'm your big sister, 'cause I was created first. You were created last, Chib, so you're my little sister. Isn't it obvious? Going past smirk territory all the way into a sneer, Jabril objected. Raising said argument in the council, this individual of unfortunate intellect found her proposal rejected unanimously. But there was no way I could get you to call me Big Sister. And the council rejected your proposal in appalled recognition of this motive. Surely you must have heard. As Jabril continued in an even colder tone, Azrael glommed her onto her once more and commenced her smiling sister bragging. You know, there was a bunch of kids who were towards the end of the war, but Jibs is the ultimate, the closing number. She chortled, while Jabril sighed as if feeling deeply inconvenienced. And those kids made at the end, believe me, that was when Lord Artosh was at the height of his power. So to even compare them with those that made earlier, that's a laugh. But guess what? All those strong kids got tossed out to the front lines, and they all died in the final battle. Crestfallen Azrael accosted her sole surviving sister, hugging her with a force that would probably burst in humanity like a balloon. So Jibs is the one and only late-period Flugel who survived the final battle. And on top of that, she's the closing number. The youngest of all. The cutie pie little sister. This ought to be spelled out by law. Why don't they understand? Azrael once more took flight in a merry figure eight. Jabril was also something besides, squinting in an uncharacteristic display of displeasure, but that at a loss expression on Jabril. This is rare footage. Shira recorded the angel's antics with her phone. Meanwhile, Sora was pursuing an alternate train of thought. Intently observing Azrael's innocent, glowing smile. Aw, damn. Guess we might have to change our plans, he muttered with affected disappointment. Glare. Azrael turned at these soft words with a smile, but eyes laden with violent force. So is it you who's been screwing around with our lovely Jibs? You ask a virgin about screwing around. That's a tough question you've thrown out there. Sora thrust out his chest with tragic conviction. Azrael took a step forwards. Whoa. Huh? There was no way to react. Her step ignored distance. Sora and Shiro, who took several moments to even realize they'd been approached, groaned softly. Just then, a silent impact spread from Jabril to rock the entire library. Suspecting the use of magic, Sora came to a sudden realization, listening to the following exchange between the two Flugel. My elder, if you plan to lay a finger on my masters, I ask that you reconsider carefully. Oh, come on, Jibs. You don't have to warn me like that. We've got the 10 Covenants, you know. It had been a subtle display of hostility. At this hint of just how much Jabril was curbing her power under usual circumstances, this mere hint of Jabril's true potential, a cold sweat ran down Sora and Shiro's cheeks. Brushing off this subtle display, Azrael turned back to Sora. Jade eyes, strangely, entirely different in nature from Jabril's, pierced him. There's just one thing I want to clarify. What's this? There was no comparing this glare to the one she'd leveled at him earlier. Its weight was sufficient to coagulate the air of the library, to make space itself creak. Say the wrong thing, and you were dead. This world had the 10 Covenants. Jabril was attendant beside him, yet none of that helped. That was the illusion her eyes evoked. Azrael spoke. Will Jibs call me Big Sister, if you command it? An anticlimax. No, a letdown so massive it gave the sense that your soul might fly off if you didn't cling to it. Sora only managed to keep his feet thanks to the sensation of Ciro's trembling hand grasping his, but Azrael seemed oblivious as she went on up in the voltage. And you even got her to lick the feet of Elf? Could you get her to lick my... Or could you take a bath with me? No, I'm not asking that much. If you could just show me... How did she know that much? Sora wondered, but for now she slipped out his phone and told her to see for herself. Jabril's bath scene. I do have a clip, or... I bet the Flugel piece! Give it to me! 20,000 meters in the air, an unlikely thunder roared. Miss Azrael, please cool your head. Madame, you have no such authority. Could you please wish to wager that a rare piece would not the first step be to bring it to a vote by the council? Though such a proposal would surely be unanimously rejected. Jabril gave a scornful smile, such as Sora and Shiro had never seen before. Yeah? At the notes of Jabril's voice containing a silent lull, Azrael exclaimed, Wait, my brains are revving up hard enough to roar. They're being activated at levels never before seen in the 26,000-year history of Azrael. They're spinning at the speed of light. Dropping her unbelievable age, Azrael apparently dove into thought. Finally, with what came across in a flash of insight, she raised her head frantically. That's it. You're Sora, right? Yeah? I'll be your property too. Then I bet I can get in the bath with Jibs. Congratulations at spinning at speed unprecedented in 26,000 years without driving anywhere, Miss Azrael. Jabril sneered with a smirk colder than cold, even a hint of disappointment. But Shiro glanced quietly at her brother. Azrael had offered herself up just like that. But as Jabril had said, she wasn't the agent plenipotentiary. Getting her wouldn't get them Flugel. But to play Flugel in a game would be no simple matter. It wouldn't be a bad move to grab Azrael while she was hinting that she might lose on purpose. Especially considering that part of Sora's objective was to swallow up Flugel. With these thoughts, Shiro looked at her brother's face for confirmation. But at Sora's expression, disinterested and aloof, she tilted her head and considered Azrael's again. That smile, as enchanting as ever, just too perfect. Ah. Shiro subtly nodded in recognition of what Sora's bearing conveyed. And of course, Sora then shrugged and turned away. Sorry about now, but let's come back to that later. What? But I want to see Jibs naked. Ignoring Azrael as she champed at them, Sora took Shiro's hand and heaved a deep sigh. Man, I was all up on Steph about how we were going to get 3 races, but I guess I'm going to have to tell her sorry. Yagasta looked at Azrael with eyes disappointed to their depths. This bitch is useless. Jabril's enough. Ignoring Azrael's gaze, which was narrowing in their direction, Sora and Shiro headed for the mountainous stacks. So, Jabril, we can look at these books, right? Yes, after all, we did just receive permission from Elder Azrael herself. Nodding, Sora looked around. Books, books, books. It was like a giant town made of nothing but books. It was his current field of vision. Multiple languages he couldn't read graced the spines. Since we didn't get what we wanted, looks like this is gonna be tough. Well, we'll do what we can, huh, Shiro? As the siblings disappeared into the stacks, the two Flugel watched them in silence. I think that's where I'm going to stop for now. There's quite a bit left. So, thank you all for listening. Thank you for your continued support. Although, I guess right now I don't have any listeners. Man, that sounds sad to say. That sounds like something I'd say, oh yeah, I don't have any listeners. I'm sure this will amp up eventually. I'm sure people will find it. I mean, to be honest, light novels are kind of niche. You have to be looking for, the specific light novel. On top of the fact there's so many just recordings of robots and junk. And then you have, especially since I started in, a weird position, that's probably one reason not as many people have listened. However, hopefully more people will listen because I started the beginning of an actual book instead of starting, halfway through. I might go back and start the beginning of Volume 4 at some point. If I do that, I might end up recording the first few episodes again. Then again, who knows. Anyways, thank you all for listening again, and I suppose I'll see you guys next time, which should be in a couple days. Bye. This is an afternote. I'm sorry for the weird shift in audio quality in kind of the middle section. A few minutes in, I'm not entirely sure how to mess around with Audacity to fix that. I think I've had this problem once before. Looking forwards, I'm going to try to make sure that it's the right distance away from me, my mic that is, so that this won't happen again. Again, sorry for this little button. Thank you for understanding. And goodbye once again.